So I'm recording this session, part of the session, so you can review it if you wish later when you're revising for the TKT exam, perhaps. So it's assessment, and I'd like you to read the teacher's notes below and discuss the questions. What are the notes about? Which language aspects are mentioned? Which type of tasks and activities did the teacher get his notes from? What type of assessment is this? Is it useful to keep notes of each learner's progress? Why? All right, let's read it then. See what the notes say. Paula, could you read for us in voz alta?
Mateo, quite fluent, some errors, but message is clear. Very good in reading skills. He generally gets the gist of the text and has a very few wrong answers. Task for a specific information or detail. He is not very fond of listening tasks, and he generally finds it difficult to identify specific information and area to work on. I continue. Writing is definitely his weakest area. He needs to pay attention to the punctuation and spelling. Ideas are organized coherently, but some cohesive the devices require attention. Need to think of useful writing tasks to work on these aspects. In general, works well with others and individually. Not very happy if he needs to make decisions for others in project work.
All right, so let's try and answer these together. What are the notes about?
They are kind of results of assessments.
Yeah, they are, aren't they? It's like a summary of the assessments that the teacher has done with the student, right? Hi, welcome back, Anna Maria. We've recorded the first part, so you can look back at it later.
Okay. Thank you.
So, yeah, so that we know that these are teacher's notes about a student's work. There are the assessments that they've done. Which language aspects are mentioned?
The core skills.
Yeah, they are, aren't they? They're all related to skills. Doesn't mention grammar and vocabulary. So yeah, 4 skills: reading, listening, writing. Speaking is not really mentioned explicitly, although it could be mentioned part of this project work. Which type of tasks and activities did the teacher get his notes from? Let's have a look again. So the teacher got the notes from the results from I don't know, like a reading test for gist and specific information or detail. likewise
Also
with
for writing, right?
yeah, and also from listening and from a writing task. Yeah. Don't know. It doesn't say what type of writing task it was. What type of assessment is this? Looking back at the assessment types on our handbook. What type of assessment is it? Is it portfolio? Is it peer assessment? Not really, because that would be Matteo evaluating his classmates' work. So it's not really portfolio. It's not really self-assessment because it's the teacher assessing, isn't it? It's not a test. Guess it could have been part of a progress test. Okay, well, I'm going to give you the answer here. It's informal assessment. And we're going to be looking at the difference between formal and informal assessment in a bit more detail. So informal methods involve observing learners' spoken or written work. Yeah, the teacher observing learners' spoken or written work and answers to written tasks. Teachers can keep notes on the learner's performance, asking learners to complete self or peer assessment sheets. So the emphasis here is informal assessment, which most of the time we're assessing students' performance informally with this sort of reflection by the teacher. Does that make sense? This is informal assessment. It's kind of day-to-day assessment that teachers do, right? Okay, so I'm gonna give you a worksheet with some different types of formal and informal. Coming into the chat now. And we're looking at page 2. Says, look at the assessment tasks, marking processes, and main reasons for assessment below. Decide whether they are connected mostly with formal assessment or informal assessment. So the key word is mostly. If you think they relate mostly to formal assessment, mark F in the box. If you think they're connected mostly with informal assessment, mark I in the box. So I'll give you a few minutes to work individually on this, and you decide.
Andrew, just exercise 1.
Just exercise 1. Just give me the thumbs up when you're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. Let's check then. So exams. Is it mostly formal or mostly informal? What do you
Formal.
think?
Formal.
Formal, yes. Exams are. As the word suggests, something quite formal. Teacher keeps a note of strengths and weaknesses, but doesn't give students a grade for their work. A bit like what we saw earlier. Formal or informal?
Informal.
Sounds informal, doesn't it? Yeah. Classroom activities such as discussions and role plays.
I'm not sure. Probably formal.
What do you think, Christian and Anna Maria?
Yes, it's informal.
It sounds informal, yeah. Now, students get a grade for their work. It could be pass or fail or 65%.
Formal.
Yes. Help teachers to to select appropriate materials and activities for lessons. To help teachers to select.
Informal.
Yeah. So like sort of diagnostic, and so that gives us an idea about what we can use to teach. Give feedback to learners about how they can improve their learning.
Informal.
Yeah. Assess overall language ability or proficiency. Think about how this is done in real life. This often involves public exams like TOEFL or IELTS.
So it's formal.
It's formal. Assess learning at the end of a course to see if the students can move on to the next level.
Formal.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it can depend on how it's done, but it tends to be formal, doesn't it? Yeah. When it comes at the end of the course. Homework tasks.
Informal.
Informal.
Yeah. Feedback to the teacher.
Informal.
Yeah. And the last one, tests.
I have a doubt in that. I don't know if it is formal or informal.
Tests tend to be a bit more informal than exams, don't they? Exams are the more formal ones. Tests you can do with a notebook and a pen and paper. Yeah. So yeah, I would still call them formal though. Because normally we associate them with formality. And pass and fail. You know, when there's pass and fail involved, it's usually formal. All right, now we're going to work together, make a list of activities and tasks that are used for formal and informal assessment. So Can you remember any terminology? So let's clear this. We can try and divide them. Formal. Formal. Here's an example. Multiple choice questions. Why are they formal? Well, they often appear on exams or tests, aren't they? Multiple choice questions. How about another example? Maybe like a gap fill task. Often these are on tests. So yeah, let's put them there. Let's just brainstorm some more assessment activities there. Any more ideas? What about a language game? Is that going to be formal or informal?
Informal?
Yeah, because you don't really see those on exams, do you? Think about things that you might see in the everyday classroom, but not in an exam. So that would be something that was informal, like a quiz, right? Like a Kahoot.
Hmm.
It could be like worksheets.
Yeah. What type of worksheet?
And there is a I don't know if it's like a platform that it called live worksheets. So with that, you have different kind of activities.
All right. So you think that would be formal or informal, or somewhere in between?
That is informal.
So like a worksheet. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, those can be done in the classroom and they can give the teacher a good idea of the student's strengths and weaknesses. How about some that could go in the middle? Yeah, like writing tasks that you know, in some exams, like Cambridge exams, you know, they have essays and emails that they have to write in the exam. But they could also be used informally in the classroom, couldn't they? To give the teacher a sense of how well the students are performing. Likewise with speaking tasks. Some could be done in an exam, but some could also be done informally. I don't know, maybe something like an interview could be done in an exam. But maybe a discussion would be informal, or a role play or presentation. But some can also be done in, for example, the IELTS, there's like an interview, right? Spoken interview. So that can also be on the formal side. Any other ideas?
Like the feedback, it could be formal or informal, right? Both, it could be.
Yeah, but that's a different thing. Feedback is different from the actual assessment tasks.
Okay, okay.
We're actually thinking about assessment tasks here. Rather than the way of giving feedback. Also, they could go in the middle, listening and comprehension tasks, and reading comprehension tasks. Sometimes they can be used for testing in an exam, but we can also use them more informally to give a sense of how well the students are developing with their listening skills or the reading skills. Also in exams, we have different types of tasks to true-false questions. It could be used in listening and reading, matching tasks, ordering. Now, let's have a look at a sample task from the TKT exam. So we can sort of relate all of this to the TKT Module 2. Now, for questions 1 to 5, we're asked to match the situations in which a teacher sets a test with the reasons for assessment A to F. Okay, so we've got to match the letters A to F with the numbers. Okay, so let's just read each one of them. Anna Maria, could you read number 1 for us?
Yeah, sure. The teacher has a new class. On the first day of the course, she sets a test which covers some of the language points. She expects the students to be familiar with an others that she thinks the students may not know. The students do not prepare for the test.
Right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Paola, could you read number 2?
The teacher noticed that his intermediate students are making careless mistakes with basic question formation, which they should know. He announces that there will be a test on this the following week. The students have time to prepare for the test.
Good. Christian, number 3.
The students are going to take a public examination soon. The teacher gives them an example paper to do under test conditions.
I'll read the next one. The teacher monitors students whenever they carry out speaking tasks and keeps notes about each student. And Anna Maria, could you read number 5 for us?
Sure, the class has recently finished an unit of the course book which focused on the use of the present perfect simple with for and since. The teacher gives the class a surprise test on this.
Okay, so then you've got to match the numbers with the letters for the purpose of the assessment. So I'm going to give you about 4 minutes for this. When you're done, post your answers into the chat. When you're done, please submit your answers through the chat to share with everyone. Thanks. All right, let's check the answers then. So, yeah, number one was actually B. To allow the teacher to plan an appropriate scheme of work. Scheme of work is like a learning plan at the beginning of the course. Well, it's like a series of lessons. So the answer there is B, 1B. Whereas number two is E. The answer is E. Revise a particular language area. Encourage them to review the language for themselves, hopefully. Three. Yeah, most of us were correct. It was A. Yeah, get them used to the test format. Or it's F. Actually. Yeah, it's a bit like the teacher making notes at the beginning of this session for F. Continuous assessment. 5 is C. Good. 9. Just to see how much we've learned so far, I want us to open our handbooks, Unit 23. And we're going to do task 4. Okay, well, I'm going to ask one of you to be the scribe, the writer, write the group's answers on this handbook. Can we have a volunteer? Any volunteers to be the writer? The other people can make suggestions. No one's volunteering. Anna Maria, could you take notes?
Yes, I cannot turn on my camera. That's why I have my camera turned off.
Okay. All right, so Paula and Christiane, I want you to give ideas to Anna Maria about how we can collect information about these things. Listening, reading skills, reading, speaking and writing. Think about how often, how can we use this, what can we use this information for? Same with systems, grammar, pronunciation, and lexis, as well as functional language. What about motivation? How can we get information about the students' motivation and how well they work together in peers, with their peers and individually? Okay, they give you 2 minutes for each, should be enough. Just brainstorm, yeah? So 8 minutes. I'll come back and check on you, okay? You can begin.
Okay. Tell me, tell me.
I am thinking.
Hmm.
Maybe with listening and reading, it could be like with
Vocabulary, like we saw that we teach vocabulary about something.
But it is an assessment. How can you assess the listening and the reading?
Okay, okay.
the listening, it could be with a test.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yes, with
Or maybe with
test,
a form.
form or test. The student needs to complete with some space.
Once again, what?
To appeal. No?
Yes, you play the audio and the student needs to complete with the word that they listen.
Okay, okay, okay. And speaking and writing. Did you write all the one that you can use?
Hmm.
For example, in motivation, it could be warmers. What is the other name of the break wrap? What?
Breakout rooms? No.
No, Los rompehielos.
break the ice, no?
Icebreakers.
Icebreakers, yeah.
In grammar, pronunciation, lexis, discourse, functional language. It could be exam.
Exam about grammar.
In writing and in speaking, I put some text. So they can make a test or they can read a test. Maybe it will be the other that it's like the experiences that they have.
Yes, maybe read a text, answer some questions, and then write their opinion.
What else? What else? Help me, team.
Mm. Mhm. In reading also can answer open questions.
Okay.
In pronunciation, maybe that they underline where is the stress in a sentence.
In pronunciation,
Yes, it could be.
All right, well, your 8 minutes is up. Let's hear what your ideas were. So what about how can we
We
collect
write in the
information
first
about
one.
listening and reading?
We write form, test, fill blanks, open questions for the first one in the receptive skills. Then in productive skills, we put text and experiences. Then in systems, we write exams, repetitions, find the stress sentence, and in motivation, we write warmers and icebreakers.
Why warmers and icebreakers? Because they're not really. It's not really assessment, though, is it? For
But
warmers and
you
icebreakers,
can use
they're
it
starting the lesson.
in motivation, right?
Our motivation. How will that give you information about motivation?
I was thinking in that because they have peer works and all of that, but I was wrong. I'm sorry.
Wouldn't for motivation, don't you think simple questionnaires might be good? Self-evaluation questionnaires. Like, I'm feeling good about English, right? And the students have to tick a smiley face or a sad face. And so that gives you information about how the learners might be feeling. So you might consider that for motivation. Like a self-evaluation checklist. Possibly. What were your ideas for systems? Okay, well, let's move on to a final task from the TKT exam. This is on page, according to me, it's page 90. It's the same unit 23, assessing learners. Yeah. It's quite useful because you've got to match the instructions with the assessment items. But this is like the purpose for doing that. So to assess oral fluency, what do we do? What are the instructions? Okay. This is a bit longer than the other one because you've got to think a bit more carefully. So I'm going to give you 6 minutes. Okay. Once you're done, put your answers into the chat. All right, let's check the answers then. Yeah, Anna Maria was right. It was 1B. 1 was B. It's pronunciation. No, sorry. No pronunciation. Number 1. Use notes to make complete sentences. Verbs into the correct one. No, it's grammatical knowledge, isn't it? It's D. 1 is D. Yeah. Paolo was right. Yeah. Because it's the correct form of the verb. Two is H. Because it's to do with just reading. Yeah, that's a common task to test the student's ability to read for the general understanding. Give them a text divided into paragraphs, and they've got to match a heading for each paragraph, and the heading sort of summarizes the paragraph, each paragraph. So it's H. 3 is E. Writing skills. Correct. 4. Find words in the text which match the definitions is vocab. Yeah. Correct. 5, problem. Discuss keyword there, so it's going to be speaking skills. Oral fluency. 6. Appropriate response for the situations. Yeah, functional language is connected with situations or contexts where we've got to find the appropriate response. So 6 would be yes. G. 7. Just reading, underline the word that the speaker says most strongly would be stress. Correct. Anna Maria. Emphasis. Good job. Any questions or doubts before we leave assessment? We'll come back to it in some form when we do a review of TKT concepts at the end of the course, right at the very end. I think we've done enough tonight. Any final doubts or queries before we close? So you know what you're doing for next week? Anna Maria and Christian, you ready for Monday? If not, you'll send some questions, right?
Okay, okay.
All right. Okay,
Yeah.
let's leave it there. Thank you and buenas noches.
Thank you, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.